Hi, I'm George Chernowski. As you already know, I am your uh, instructor for English composition, and I want to give you some background on the writing process. Last week we started talking about the writing process and the lesson that we had, but this week I want to give you a little bit more detail so you can get a good idea of what the writing process is all about, okay? And I'll try to attach videos most weeks to help explain the concepts that we're dealing with. First of all, it's very important that you understand that writing is a process, okay? At 6 o'clock in the morning, I need my coffee. And a process means a series of steps. So you need to move away from the idea that writing is one and done. You just put it down and do it. No, that's not what it's all about. Writing is a process, it is a series of steps. And I am going to lead you through a 5-step process. I'm going to give you a quick overview of it now. Last week we started talking about pre-writing, which is idea collecting. Okay, there's a little section in your book on idea collecting, but I gave you one sample last week of idea collecting, and that is making a list of things, making a list of anything that might have to do with your topic, not being judgmental, just putting down anything that might have to do with your topic. You might do it in the form of a list, you might do it in the form of short sentences, you might do it in any way that works for you, but it is a list of everything, or it is a collection of everything that might have to do with your topic as it runs through your brain. You do not be judgmental as you do this. No judgments, just write it down, okay? Then the second part of pre-writing is organizing what you have. It is figuring out what order you're going to want to talk about these things. And you think, or at least it is making some kind of a logical order, so that when you do start to write about it, you can figure out, does this make sense? Okay, so that's pre-writing. After pre-writing, we have rough draft. And what rough draft means, the important word there is rough. It is just kind of taking it from that list or that little bit of sentence blurbs or whatever you have used to collect ideas and turning it into something of a regular writing format. However, in doing this, you are still not judgmental, okay? You are still taking the information and just going with it. You want to write a rough draft as rapidly as possible. You don't want your rough draft. You don't want to worry about what you're writing in a sense. You just want to get it down there. So you are using the creative part of your brain when you're creating a rough draft. You are not you are not saying, no, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want to do that. Yes, I want. No, you're just taking what you have in an organized pre-writing and turn it into some kind of a paragraph structure, essay structure kind of thing. But nothing that you need to worry about. So you're not thinking about sentence structure. You're not thinking about punctuation. You're not thinking about spelling. You're just writing as rapidly as possible. Those are the two parts of the creative process, okay? The pre-writing and the rough draft. Now, what do you do with a rough draft? When you get done with your rough draft, when you throw it together, and that's basically what you do, is throw together a rough draft, okay? Then you start to be a little bit critical. You go through your rough draft and you ask yourself some questions. First of all, is it specific? Are there details? Keep in mind, the purpose of writing is to make your reader see what you're trying to say, no matter whether it's a description or an analysis or an explanation or anything else. You want your reader to completely understand. You are trying to communicate. You are trying to move everything from your head to their head, okay? And you're doing that through paper. So you look at your rough draft and you say, do I have enough details for my reader to understand what it is I'm trying to say, okay? So details and specifics. Specifics, okay, saying things exactly the way they need to be said, Okay, that's what the first revision is all about, is making sure you have specifics and details. That's part of the first revision. Secondly, you want to ask yourself, does it say something? Am I communicating anything here? Am I getting the ideas across that I want to? Am I painting the pictures that I want to? Is this saying what I want it to say? If Joe Schmo picked this up, would he know what I am talking about? Okay, so you want it to say something. Okay, that's what communications is. Then you want to ask yourself, is it organized? Is it logical? Okay, I set up this certain sense of logic as I wrote my pre-writing, as I organized my pre-writing, but now it's different. Now I'm putting it into a regular sentence format. So is there a logical sense of organization here? Is it saying something for me? Okay, so we need it to be specific, we need it to be detailed, we need it to make sense, we need it to be organized. Okay, so we need all of that in our first revision, which is the first step, the third step in the writing process: pre-writing, rough draft, first revision. Okay. Then after we do that, and I'll explain this all in the text, but I wanted to do it verbally too, because a lot of people learn best through hearing, and also with some seeing. Then we start to get critical. In that third step, that first revision, we're still not worried about sentence structure, we're not worried about spelling, we're not worried about punctuation, we're not worried about those things that make writing so difficult and time-consuming. We're just rewriting it to make sense out of it. But now in this fourth step, this is where we look at sentence structure. Is every group of words that comes between the periods, or period and question mark or whatever, is every word that we put down as a sentence really a sentence? In other words, does it have a subject? Does it have a verb? Does it express a complete thought? Do my sentences follow one after another? Okay. Now I pointed out some information in the lesson that I wrote for where you should read about sentence fragments and what makes a complete sentence. So read through that so that you understand what a complete sentence means, what a complete sentence is all about. There's no text language going on here. There's no email language going on here. Real writing has to be done grammatically correctly. Okay, so you need this all to be done with complete sentences, with logical paragraphs. Okay, you want it to follow essay structure. And in the written lesson that I give you this week, I will try to detail essay structure a little bit too. We're doing a lot this week, but again, we only have a 10-week course, so we have to move on here. Okay, so now we've gone through 4 parts of the writing process, and your writing is starting to get pretty well put together. Okay, and that's good. And again, all of this, the first 3 parts should fly by. They shouldn't take you much time at all. Okay, this 4th part does take a lot of, this is nuts and bolts stuff, making sure that everything is a complete sentence and such. And then the 5th part, the final editing, is the real nuts and bolts part. Now, I will tell you this. When Ernest Hemingway wrote one of his novels, he edited it 27 times before he would let it be published. So who do you or I think we are to think we can just write something down and get away with it? Okay? This is where writing gets good. This is where it goes from okay to good. In this step, you look at every word that you use. You should have a thesaurus. You should have a dictionary. You should not be using any significant words in there more than once. Okay? So you substitute words in there. You come up with synonyms for words so that you're not repeating words. That's a big part of this. Okay? And you want to make sure everything is spelled correctly. This is where you get extremely fussy with your punctuation. Okay, this is what makes writing tough. This is the toughest part of the writing process. It's not copying over. It's looking very closely at every word you've done, every sentence you've done, to make sure that everything you've done exactly communicates what you need to communicate. Okay? Questions, contact me. See you again soon.